This week on our AMP America Week in Review, Ron Paul and Elon Musk team up in eye positions in Trump's potential cabinet. But what's really behind the scenes here for this unexpected alliance? Later, the heartbreaking end of Peanut the Squirrel, whose 500,000 Instagram followers couldn't save him from government intervention. And an explosive opinion piece asks, why are liberal women suddenly giving permission to conservative women to vote their conscience? The patronizing politics of gender, viral pets paying the ultimate price, and a tech billionaire's political ambitions. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show. On winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show. Well, happy Saturday there, folks. Brian Nichols here on another fun-filled episode of the Brian Nichols Show, our AMP America Week in Review. We are coming to you live over on X this evening. Yes, happy Saturday. Oh man, election season, it's right around the corner. And by I say right around the corner, it's like 3 days away. And we got a lot on the agenda to talk to you today. Originally, we were going to record first thing this morning, but I needed to make sure I had my co-host right here with me. So we pushed it a little bit to this afternoon. And you guys are going to look forward to this, I guarantee. Joining me today from AMP America, the one and only Remso Martinez. How you doing, buddy?
This is, I can say without a doubt, the most stressful election cycle I have ever experienced.
It's weird, man. Okay, so October. We've always heard the October surprise, right? October surprise. This election cycle, there was no surprise. It was like election surprises across the board. We have the sitting president of the United States calling half of the American electorate garbage. We have now Ron Paul and Elon Musk seemingly teaming up to help reduce government scope and waste. We got a little squirrel who apparently has been a just social media star for a few years at this point, being assassinated, dare I say it, by the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation in New York State. Lots of stuff going on here, Remso. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a normal October surprise.
No, I mean, T-Pain dressed up as Trump at his Halloween concert. Nicki Minaj this week went ahead and endorsed Trump. And, you know, this is just everything. And I mean, what's wild is, and I say this very publicly because I don't want to like jinx myself. I mean, I try not to think that I am the single source of bad luck, but usually when I vote, that seems to be the case. But I put money on Trump on Wednesday, and he was like 67%. And I'm not sponsored by it. This is on that app Kalshi, Kalshi, Kashi, or when I say it, it sounds like the cereal. But I put a little bit of money on Trump winning, and he was at 67% Wednesday afternoon. And I put some money on Republicans winning majority of the House. Same time. So my Republican odds went super high, and then Trump dropped like 16 points. And I was like, that's pretty wild. Everything is just in the air at this point. And I've gotten calls and text messages all day. As people know, I'm supporting our friends at the Pennsylvania Chase, and everyone's like, this poll says this and this poll says this. Here's my thing. Like, I already voted. I put in a lot of effort, and I'm going to be putting in a lot of effort for our friends up until the moment the polls close Monday. And then after that, the rest is just kind of like in God's hands. There's not much more, we can do beyond that. I mean, I'm really proud of this cycle. I'm seeing a lot of folks finally wise up to the stakes that we're dealing with. I'm glad that the RNC is actually taking fights and starting lawsuits before, as we're catching things, before the results are in, and not just fighting after when nothing can really be done. I'm glad that folks are actually supporting the grassroots efforts, the Pennsylvania Chase, Turning Point Action, Early Vote Action, and they're actually, helping those on the ground liberty warriors do what they need to do. And this is for all the marbles, really. I try not to say that, World War III is going to break out if, Trump loses, but that could possibly happen. And, it's just at the point where it's like, I can keep looking at the betting odds. I can keep looking at the polls. I can keep looking at the news feeds, but it all ends in 3 days. 3 days will be years worth of efforts. I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff for over a year and a half now. And, 4 years ago, post Parlor and everything, I was very much like, I just gotta, I felt like Obi-Wan Kenobi almost. You know what? I'm gonna equate myself to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I escaped to Tatooine and I was just doing my thing. I'm like, the Jedi Order is destroyed. The Republic has been replaced by the Empire. All my friends are on the run, and I don't know, if the Force is gonna help me or not. And I very much stayed my little cold hermit life here in Wisconsin, and I was quiet. And I was just like, I'm never getting involved until the Rebel Alliance swooped in one day and said, listen, Remso and Kenobi, you're one of our only hopes. I won't say the only hope because there are a lot of great people doing a lot of great work, more so than I. But this is it, man. Like, we got to take out the fucking Death Star because it's aimed directly at us right now.
Yep.
Aimed directly at us. And Brian, you've said a lot of negative things about these people, and you're on their list. I'm on their list. A lot of our people that we like are on their list. A guy who looked at Kamala Harris side eye at one point, like 5 years ago, is probably on the list. Like, things are not looking good. I'm actually seeing Democrats on X just randomly on conservative posts just say you're going to jail. Like, they so actively despise us. And it's just like, you know what? I'm not gonna match your hate with hate. I'm just gonna match your hate with hustle, and that's all we can do. That's all.
And speaking of matching hate with hustle, right? You look over the past 5 years. I think it's fair to say that the one American who wasn't even born here, he's a tough working immigrant, and that is Elon Musk. Remso,
my favorite
Elon Musk,
African American.
Rumor has
other
it,
than Nicki Minaj.
He's been working
Army.
diligently trying to get Donald Trump into office. And I don't know if he's saying, we gotta find someone that we can bring in to court these libertarians. Because I think Elon Musk is starting to feel more libertarian-ish the more he moves along in his political journey. And he just said, you know what? Heck with it. Let's call out the big guns. And by the big guns, how about Ron Paul? Which, I mean, I don't know. Is there anybody in the libertarian circle except for the dorks and the losers out there? Sorry, guys, it's just reality. Who hate Ron Paul? Yeah, they'll be like, oh, he's got bad newsletters. That's literally the number one argument here. When you look at someone like a Ron Paul, who, let's be real, he was the only libertarian, small L libertarian, who's even made a sniff away from the White House. Now Ron Paul, he's sitting there in his retirement in his golden years, and then Elon Musk comes out of nowhere and says, hey, Ron Paul, do you want to help me reduce government bloat and waste? And Ron Paul's like, sign me up. Remso, what's going on here?
Man, our good friend Dan Smots from The System Is Down put out a repost on X, and he was basically like, hey, big L libertarians, tell me how Elon Musk and Ron Paul teaming up with a potential Trump administration is a bad thing. And, this is one of those things where it's like, this isn't all the marbles type of situation. Like, this is a you win everything or you lose everything type of situation. Not to quote actors and celebrities, but Zachary Levi, Shazam, went ahead and brought this up during an interview last week. He went ahead and said, listen, conservative celebrities, remotely not communist celebrities, like, you have to come out and speak truth and use your platforms now, or else you will never have this opportunity. Because this is one of those moments where, just like after, Biden took the election, that they were putting out lists of anyone that had ever worked with the Trump administration. They were removing bank accounts of political activists. They were deplatforming people. I mean, it was a scary period. I mean, and you had all the COVID stuff in the middle of that, where, they were threatening people's livelihoods regarding the vaccine. We know how horrible they are. And the only reason they stopped being as horrible, at least outwardly facing, is because we were in election year. And I just don't fucking understand. I'm sorry for the language, but I just really don't fucking understand people who don't understand the stakes we're in. Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to sound as hyperbolic as a lot of these people on the left. I went ahead and saw Mark Ruffalo at Kamala Harris rally, and he was basically saying, doomsday if Trump wins. And I'm not going to try and like match that, but it's one of the situations where it's like, we know we're objectively right. We know we're objectively right. That's the thing. This isn't a, well, that's just your opinion type of situation. No, we know we are objectively right. And you can tell who is right by those who don't want to incriminate and harm their neighbors, by those who are advocating against war, by those who are fighting for a greater expansion of freedoms, for those who understand we live in a pluralist society and that we can't just force our ideas down everyone's throats. You look at who is bringing people together across the political spectrum. It's not Kamala Harris. It's Donald Trump. And whether you like him or not is not the relevant point, but you understand the stakes you're in. And I see these people. I went ahead and posted this today. And I'm glad that Ron Paul came out, because that's the closest thing we're going to get to a Ron Paul endorses Trump type of deal, because it's a package. You want Elon, you got to vote for Trump.
Yep.
But I'm still seeing these people in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Wisconsin, voting for libertarian Chase Oliver, voting for Jill Stein. And it's like, listen, libertarians, I want to talk directly to you.
Do it. Oh, he's even got a deep breath. Wow, you know it's going to be good.
If you want your fucking drug kingpin released from prison, you have to vote for Donald Trump, or else he will die there.
Who is that, by the way? What's his name?
Ross Ulbricht.
There we go.
If you want Ross Ulbricht to die in prison, vote for anyone other than Trump. But if you want him to step out in sunlight and breathe fresh air and see his family before he dies, Donald Trump is the only human on earth who will do that. Yeah, but Chase ain't do it. Chase Oliver isn't going to win. Jill Stein isn't going to win. Kamala Harris has never even said Ross Ulbricht's name out loud.
Yep.
Cato libertarians, reason libertarians, entitled fuckwads. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, if that's your single issue, and I know that there are single issue voters on that, that's the only thing that matters. But I want to see, like, Brian, try and explain this to me. How can people look at Elon Musk teaming up with Ron Paul in a potential Trump 2.0 presidency and say, that's nice, but I'm not going to help that happen?
I have two answers for you. One, Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. It's everywhere. It is rampant. And unfortunately, there is no known cure that is besides folks starting to wake up on their own, right? It's one of those, it has to come from within. That's number one. Number two, this is happening, and it's not happening per the plan that the old guard, the libertarians of yesteryear, who keep screaming to the ideas of supporting folks like Gary Johnson or Joe Jorgensen, the Chase Oliver crowd, the idea that we are going to have an opportunity, right? And I'm not guaranteeing, I'm saying we have an opportunity to actually get legitimate libertarians at the table to have very real input on the policy conversations for the first time, literally the first time in history, versus the idea of, well, if we just continually promote our principles and we lead with just how great we are, that we'll just get people on board. Guess what? That hasn't worked. I've called out for the past 5 years. I've been trying to teach libertarians how to sell liberty. It's not going to work. You don't sell the ism, right? You sell the outcomes that the ism provides, the problems it solves. But a lot of our libertarian friends can't get out of their own way to actually understand that, number one. But it goes to this idea, Remso. This is happening, and it's not happening per their plan, right? They dug their heels in. They've been screaming until they're blue in the face that this won't work. You're going to embrace somebody like Trump? Oh, yeah, and what are you going to get out of it, huh? What are you going to get? Oh, I have an idea. Ron Paul at the seat at the table. Vivek Ramaswamy, a seat at the table. Dare I say somebody like, I don't know, an Elon Musk, who, no, he's not overtly libertarian, but he's been drifting more and more away. Oh, and by the way, the world's richest man. and they're paying attention to us. He's paying attention to us. And I know there's a lot of libertarians. Oh, so you're just waiting for them to call you pretty? No, we actually have a chance to have a seat at the table where the conversations that are shaping our country are being held. And if you want to instead not have a seat at that table, but rather have a seat at your little, group chat, and you're sitting there thinking you're changing the world with the 30 other folks in your group who think and say the exact same things you do, I'm sorry. One is an objective win, and the other is an objective lose for losers. So pick which way you want to go. And to libertarians who are sitting and listening today, live as we are on Twitter, thanks to the folks who've been jumping into the comments already. Hear this: if you go and vote for Chase Oliver with the assumption that your vote is going to yield a positive, tangible, emphasis on the word tangible, pro-liberty outcome, I have a bridge down the road to sell you. But if you're a libertarian who has been sitting and watching the Libertarian Party, big L Libertarian Party, make a fool of itself for literally years, and now see an avenue to not just have your ideas reach different folks, but actually get these ideas into policy, this is the biggest no-brainers of no-brainers. And the fact, Remso, that there are people who question that this is a positive, I'm sorry, I have no words for you. I don't have any like sales pitch to them. They are not our target market. I don't need to go. I don't need to go, nor should I have to go and try and persuade already existing libertarians that this is an objective win. So I'm not going to. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the momentum that we're getting from someone like an Elon Musk, like, yes, I can't believe I'm saying this, a Donald Trump, who's bringing these voices to the table and now introducing these voices to a brand new audience of folks who never have heard libertarianism before. Seeing folks like JD Vance sit on a podcast say, I never really have bought into a lot of the Ron Paul stuff, but I'm coming around to him in the Federal Reserve. What? Come on. That's a win. And we have to stop being allergic to winning. This is where I get so just pissed off with libertarians. They refuse to actually go and have a legitimate conversation, right? About what a win looks like. They want to like move the goalposts around quite a bit to say like, oh, well, I had 13 people show up to my Libertarian Party sit down here in my county where I'm the LP treasurer. That's a win. Okay. Relative to an audience of tens of thousands of people who have never heard the ideas of liberty before. Sorry, I'm ranting. I know. I'm sorry.
No. That is being like the coolest person at the special ed table.
Oh, it's true. And it hurts. I'm sorry.
There are people that there are libertarians telling folks, I think it's in New Hampshire, not to vote for Lily Tang Williams.
Are there really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, straight off
into hell. Straight to hell.
By the way, I gave one call to action when I was on Tim Pool's show back in 2022. My call to action was when Lily was launching her campaign to go and donate for her. And guess what? We got the most donations for Lily Tang Williams of any of the other times, except I'm guessing immediately after her most recent appearance where she just crushed Jake Sullivan's wife in the head-to-head debate, which I know it's not on our list for today, Remso, but I might need to go ahead and show that video. It's amazing. You want to go ahead and see Jake Sullivan, who is the head of our entire bullshit foreign policy right now, his wife get lectured to in broken English what it means to be an American by a Chinese immigrant? I love it.
It was like watching my Korean grandmother go off. Like it was just, it's beautiful. And I've known of Lily Tang Williams since 2015.
She's amazing.
She is a Freedom Works activist.
Yes.
When she was just fighting against Common Core. That's how it started. And the upward trajectory. The Johnny Rocket Launchpad used to be a big podcast among libertarians.
I forgot about Johnny Rocket. I wonder how he's doing.
That was, don't ask. That was a lot of, what I'm trying to say is like this Lily Tang Williams has been in the fight for so freaking long, and she has gone super viral today with just this clip where she is just demolishing this woman down to the core. And for all of all of our Asian listeners or all of our mixed race listeners out there like myself who have a Korean grandmother or a Korean aunt or something, it hits you down to your soul like a cold, sharp steel knife when you are getting lectured at in broken English. And I have only been yelled at really like a couple times in my life by my Korean grandmother, who is voting for Trump, by the way. And it just hits you in a different way. And watching this woman, you can just see her body language. She just gets broken down. And the moderator, I'm surprised the moderator didn't call 911 because what we just witnessed was a murder.
Here we go. Just for folks playing along in the home game, here, I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so I can reshare it. So here, hold tight. Let me do that. And I want to make sure
we do this live, folks. Be with us in the moment.
Yeah, we are live. Yeah. And by the way, thanks for the folks. Bill Reichland, he just went ahead and say howdy. It's X is working for him today. I'd love to hear it.
Howdy, Bill.
Thank you, Lucy Charles, for popping in. Yes, we are live over on X. Please go ahead. Check us out over there. All right, Remso, we might need to mute ourselves while this video plays. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Lily Tang Williams just absolutely eviscerate Jake Sullivan's wife.
Who don't understand that, they should go back to economics 101 schools to learn who caused high inflation. It's not the private sector. It's always the federal government who can print money.
We don't continue this disastrous tax policy.
Ms. Williams.
You are wealthy. You're worth $20 million to $30 million. How do you know about regular people suffering? Do you go shopping, go to Walmart, buy food, and talk to those people? And you pretend to be renter in Nashua a few months ago.
The pain in her eyes.
To run for this open seat with millions of dollars from Washington, D.C. insiders. And the millions of dollars. I don't have money to run a TV ad. And you pretend you are poor, complain rent is so high. You couldn't save an apartment for other people to rent in Nashua. Just go back to your $2 million home in Portsmouth. Please don't say that because you do not understand regular people's concern. People cry in my arms on this issue.
Like Lily is incredible. Woo! And by the way, folks, this video, that was 1 minute of the highlight. This movie, it might as well be a movie. This video goes on for several more minutes. Lily is an all-star. And by the way, I showed a quick clip beforehand when just for some B-roll. Lily's been on the show. Lily is a good friend. She is an all-star. And the fact that you just said that there are libertarians, big L, emphasis on the big L, loser libertarians in New Hampshire who are fighting against her, like,
I'm gonna, how much time do we have left on the show today, Brian? We got 35, 40 minutes. I'm gonna make a challenge since we're doing this live. If somebody watching this right now donates either $100 to Lily Tang Williams or the PHAs, so either the PHAs to help us win Pennsylvania or give $100 to Lily Tang Williams, and you say so in the comments, and you can verify with Brian, so it's an honor system that you do it, I will take my shirt off and leave it off for the rest of the show.
Wow. Well, there's an incentive structure I've ever heard one right there. Okay.
Just saying. So $100 to either the PHAs, phas.com, or Lily Tang Williams. Go ahead and give $100. Post your receipt. Tag Brian. Mention it in the comments. I'll leave my shirt off for the rest of the show. I'm incredibly self-conscious. This is one of my biggest fears, but I'll fucking do it. Okay. I will fucking do it.
I'm eagerly looking over at the comments. I'll keep you posted, Remso. How about this? Let's quickly transition as we're waiting here. It is 2024. We can quickly transition.
This is how you know this is a pre-election show because everything is on the table.
We can transition. Remso can take off his shirt, whatever you want. Actually, you know what? Here, Remso, as we're transitioning today, let's go ahead and give a shout out to one of our phenomenal sponsors. Bill's watching, so I know he's going to appreciate this. This is my go-to cup of coffee every single morning. It is Clockham Craft Coffee. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
You think you're supporting small farms with your coffee choices? Think again.
many brands hide behind fancy packaging while sourcing cheap coffee beans. So you need to stop compromising on quality and on ethics. Clockham Craft Coffee was born from a desire for both transparency and excellence in the coffee game. They personally select every bean, ensuring top quality and fair practices. So experience coffee the way it's supposed to be. Honest, delicious, and roasted with care. Plus, an exclusive offer for Brian Nichols Show fans. Use code BNS10 for 10% off at clockhamcraft.coffee. Link in the show notes. And now, let's get back to the show. If you think you're supporting small farmers, choices,
there we go. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry, everyone. All right, so we are live. Don't forget, we are live. Check this out. Remso, this is all over news today. This comes from my former home state, New York State. Social media star Peanut the Squirrel has been euthanized after being seized from New York home. Some context. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the Chemung County Department of Health announced through a statement on Friday afternoon that both a squirrel and a raccoon were confiscated from a residence on Wednesday and had been euthanized to test for rabies. Peanut the Squirrel, who boasted 534,000 followers on Instagram, was taken from his home in Pine City, New York by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC. He was also known as Peanut, the letter P, N-U-T, and was a beloved pet by content creator Mark Longo. In more than 1,400 posts shared on Instagram, Peanut can be seen munching on waffles, jumping through hula hoops, and greeting Longo home from work. And apparently Remso getting killed, assassinated by government agents. What is going on? Why is so many folks in the political world suddenly making this a big, like, carrying the banner forward in a battlefield? Also, what'd you get to drink? I didn't even see that happen.
Well, if I'm going to take my shirt off any minute now, I got to get some liquid courage.
Comments, come on, guys, let's go.
You sons of bitches.
By the way, Bill's roasting some coffee as we speak today, so you know he's doing some good stuff.
This story made my wife cry today.
Did it really?
If this is not delivered Trump, the white woman vote.
It requires him to actually say, Peanut the Squirrel.
He did.
A martyr.
Did you read the
fighting for America?
Did you read the statement?
Trump made a statement? No. Did he? Hold on. You vamp. I'll pull it up.
I'm going to read it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I got it. Oh, my wife is calling me. I got to hang up. No. Honey, I'm live with Brian right now.
Hey, Remso's wife.
Do you want to say justice for Peanut?
Yeah, justice for Peanut.
All right, bye. Love you.
Justice for Peanut. No, 100%. No, what's this quote, Remso? What's this quote from Trump? I got to hear this.
I'm pulling it up. Okay, Trump fans. Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America, issued this morning, November 2nd. In the year of our Lord, 2024, there have been horrible reports out of New York, my former home state, where state environmental agents raided the home of Mark Longo and his wife. Mark was taken into custody for hours while officials searched his home and eventually took their two pets, Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel. These animals were later executed by the state of New York. New York authorities, under their terrible governor, put more effort into finding and eliminating a squirrel who was innocent by all accounts than they do to control the unchecked illegal immigrants who have flooded their state. If Peanut could have told them he was from Mexico, they would have set him on his way and given him a hotel room and a $500 gift card to Buddy Squirrel. Instead, he was taken from his family. Very sad and a complete waste of resources. When we win, we will get our priorities in order and make America great again.
So when you said Fred the raccoon,
literally, this was posted.
I love it. Well, you made me think of Super Troopers, one of my all-time favorite movies. Johnny Chimpo is the mascot on the weed that they find, and the two police chiefs who hate each other are sitting down, and the guy goes, "Yeah, I really think that there's something here to this Johnny Chimpo story." Johnny Chimpo. And he like puts the button on the pager. Hey, Lanson, the lady at the front desk, do me a favor. Round up Bobby Baboon, Jeffrey the giraffe, and Allie the alligator and bring them in for a lineup. Thanks, sweetie. That is exactly what I thought of with Peanut the squirrel and Fred the raccoon. Jesus Christ. This is where we are, by the way, 2024. We are having government agents literally show up to a guy's home as though this is the most fucked up part, by the way, pardon my language, but when you look at what this like led to.
We have dropped more F-bombs collectively on this single episode than you have on any year's worth of episodes, Brian.
I got heated this first part because the whole Ron Paul, like the whole Ron Paul thing with the libertarians refusing to acknowledge a win has been my like just biggest thorn in my side for the past 5 years of trying to teach how to sell liberty. But anyways, regardless, when we look at this whole conversation, the way that that was his name, Mark, the owner of the
Mark Longo, great guy.
Mark Longo, they treated him like he was a criminal, like that he was a threat. They took him out of his home. They took 5 hours to scope his house, wouldn't let him feed his other animals. Like Remso, they
sent more people after Mark Longo and Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel than they sent to forget Osama bin Laden.
I mean, I know that was said in jest, but without knowing the numbers, I'm almost going to guarantee you're spot on.
They sent more people to take out the squirrel than they sent to raid Osama bin Laden.
Why this has turned into such a calling card, an anthem, a banner that Republicans and libertarians and conservatives are carrying forward right now is because this is the most like perfect example of unchecked government bureaucrats run wild. And we see that the pain, the suffering being caused to a family who has a pet squirrel and a pet raccoon. Now imagine the family who is being targeted because they showed up to Washington, D.C. on January 6th. They weren't at the event, but all of a sudden, a year later, their home gets ransacked by federal agents because they were in the area. Their cell phone showed that they were in the area. Did they go into the building? Doesn't matter. We're going to treat them like they're a criminal. And that right there, Remso, I think that is kind of why this has taken such a stronghold in more. I'm just going to use the right side of the aisle's view right now, because when you look at how dangerous this can go and how badly this can go with unchecked power, who else can relate to this better right now than the Republicans and conservatives and libertarians who have been targeted by these federal agencies and these government agencies across the board for well over 5-8 years at this point, if you kind of want to count back when Trump was in office and all the bullshit started.
The NSA provided paperwork to the LNC and Angela McArdle that the NSA had been spying on the Libertarian National Convention this year.
That's fun.
Our own government, and this was, I think it was Dinesh D'Souza that said this years ago. The Obama foreign policy is not really a foreign policy. It's weaken our allies and strengthen our enemies. It's stop dealing with the outside threats and instead treat every American like a threat. It's no longer trying to develop ourselves as a nation that stands for liberty, and instead it's turning us into our own prison. People in our government hate us, hate regular people more than they hate the Ayatollahs in Iran, who they gave our tax money to. Then I think it's almost a third of the population of Ukraine that has died because of a war, which us and the British and the French could have ended 2 years ago when Zelensky wanted to meet with Putin. And we said, no, there's too much involved. They hate foreign adversaries who are actually a direct threat to our basic freedom. They hate them less than they hate parents that show up to a PTA meeting, than girls who don't want to change in a locker room with boys, than people that want to sell raw milk, than people that just want to live quiet lives where they could be left alone. They won't leave you alone. Okay? They killed the fucking squirrel.
It's not
They
funny,
will do
but
way
yes.
worse to you. They will do way worse to you. And they have. And they
killed
have.
the fucking squirrel. I'm
That's
sorry.
what this comes down to.
But this okay, I'm not laughing at the squirrel itself. It's just, what timeline are we in where you got fucking Harambe and the Peanut the squirrel sitting arm in arm, looking down from above and being like, this all could have been avoided.
And like shit's just been weird since Prince died.
Yeah, Purple Rain, man. Well, wasn't he one of those guys like who was reportedly, allegedly gonna like whistleblow some stuffs?
That's a whole other episode, Brian. But like, if you want to see where the timeline starts to branch and stuff, but yeah, like this is I don't know what else to say.
Well, and I'll put a bookend on this Peanut the squirrel conversation with this. It is a little, no, let me rephrase that. It's a lot disappointing, frustrating, whatever your favorite word is, that it takes a squirrel being euthanized by federal or by state agents in this case to get people
say the
pissed off.
word. He was murdered. Peanut was murdered. Fred was murdered. They were murdered by the state.
And it goes back to you could have the most horrific story of a person being put on death row. They were not, they were found not guilty, or not guilty, but maybe the evidence wasn't brought forward. Whatever the bullshit thing you want to make for a worst case like scenario of a human being hurt by the state, right? That would get this much attention relative to Peanut the squirrel.
I think we have been talking
Doggo Danny. Like
we have been talking about this longer than anyone talked about all the grandmas in New York that Andrew Cuomo killed.
Fuck yes, that right there, right? That is exactly why
I was a massacre.
It was, and by the way, you know what? Here, this is a transition. Again, we are transitioning today because it is my show. Look at this, right? This is from our good friend Jamie Pope. Dear other white women. And Jamie goes through and she articulates how there has been such a, what's the word, Remso? Like, there has been such a flood of this like patronizing political perspective from, and I'm just going to generalize for the sake of the conversation today, more liberal white women, right? Where if you aren't a liberal white woman, you're not white womaning properly. And I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, but I'll just use a real life example of someone who was very uncomfortable with this election. My wife, like looking at what she, in her heart, she's like, I can't vote for Kamala. She's crazy, but I don't want to vote for Trump. She's like, and by the way, she's very politically agnostic, but when she would go on social media and she would see the fervent push by her friends that if you don't vote for Kamala, you hate us, you hate women, right? And that mentality, Remso, has been very much embraced by the, again, generalizing here, white women of the liberal left. So tell us more about Jamie's article here and just the patronizing that's coming across from these white liberal ladies.
I mean, I think it goes farther than that. And I mean, she even touches on it there. It's like the monolith voting, like the black vote or the Arab vote. What we've seen is that can't be restrained anymore. Trump will win a historic margin of Latino voters, men and women. He will go ahead and, take a large chunk of the black male population in this country. I just went ahead and I was in a group chat with some buddies of mine and, several state representatives, Somali state representatives, Somali Muslim state representatives in Minnesota are all backing Trump. And they're going as far as to say, and these were former Democrats, and they've been like, the left left us. Like, our lives are worse off because of the Democrats. And they're telling people, vote down ticket Republican, vote Trump and vote down ticket Republican all the way down. Trump was just in Dearborn, Michigan, the largest Muslim population in the country, a Muslim majority government. And they have all largely endorsed Trump as the peace candidate. This is not Mitt Romney's GOP. This is not George Bush's GOP. This isn't even Reagan's GOP. This is a collective of the same. This is a team of rivals. I say that very, very lovingly. This is a team of rivals because we love our
RFK
country.
was running against Trump literally months ago. Like,
Tulsi Gabbard said that Trump was like the father of ISIS when she ran in 2020. And now she might be up for like SecDef in 3 months if he wins. So it's like, this is a team of rivals. This is people that are starting to understand that. And with white women, I mean, just the gaslighting. My wife is in several, large Facebook groups for a lot of celebrities that she likes. And the number of women who are just bullying each other is despicable. And,
God bless you.
I don't know what's going on, but as JB points out, the monolith is ending.
Well, and I'll let you take a drink there, buddy. The one thing this all kind of came from, right? There was an ad that was done by Julia Roberts, and it shows two couples walking into the voting booth. And you see with the two couples, there are two ladies, and the couples are obviously made to look like they are like just tried and true, red, white, and blue conservative folk. And the husbands are like, all right, honey, don't forget who you got to vote for. And the chicks go up to the voting booth, and they're standing there getting ready to vote. And they look up at each other, Remso. They lock eyes, and they have a moment. They had a moment, and they had a moment of understanding. And they just nod to each other, and they check Kamala Harris. And then they put the vote into the ballot box, and then they walk away, and their husbands say, you do the right thing. You vote for the right person. And they just turn and go, I think so. The idea, right, being, and this is where the perception of relationships from the single white women on the left versus what a relationship actually looks like. Traditionally, when you are in a relationship, the person you're with, you share some values with. There's a reason you're together. It's not a matter of like the husband saying, you're going to go vote for this person. It's stuff you guys talk about. Like when you're looking at your familial situation, you want to maybe go buy a house, right? Or maybe you want to start saving and you want to start growing for your retirement, right? These are all things that are impacted by public policy. And believe it or not, ladies who are more again on the liberal left, abortion is not the singular issue that goes into a family's conversations. As a matter of fact, it's almost never a conversation unless the worst case scenarios are upon you, in which case I pray for that family. That's a horrible situation to be in. But the mentality that women are being like, they're being guided and forced by their husbands to vote one way or the other. No, this is a team dynamic of husband and wife working together and acknowledging where they are as a family and as a couple and understanding what policy will yield the most positive actions. And I'll finish with this, Remso. The argument for this was, dear white women, no one will know who you voted for. Pass it on. #VoteBlue. I say this to you, white women. Other white women won't know who you voted for. Pass it on. So if you want to go ahead and vote for Donald Trump, go for it. Go for it. Don't feel that you have to be peer pressured by these left-wing banshees who make abortion the number one thing they care about, and they demand that you, as a woman, carry that forward as your number one issue. You don't have to do that. You can think logically, you can think rationally, and when you go to the voting booth, you can vote your conscience. And I know for a fact that there is a lot of ladies out there who are listening to this show and they're finding themselves nodding in agreement. Yeah, it feels like me, because I feel the pressure. I go onto social media. I see my lady friends all going out saying vote blue no matter who. Oh, you're voting for Trump. You're voting for Hitler. You're voting for a fascist. Oh, you're voting for us to be, Handmaid's Tales in our red wardrobes and our little white bonnets, right? That's the narrative. And what I see is the narrative versus the very real data that we see, not just when you look at the data, but also anecdotally, right? I know quite a few guys and girls who are in relationships, and talk about this stuff. And guess what? It's not the narrative that you see on social media. It's not that women are being forced to become baby factories. Like, this is all scare tactic nonsense that has been brought out by predominantly the left, and they use it to keep people in line. It's the old Grand Moff Tarkin line in Star Wars, right? Fear will keep them in line. That is the mentality here. And I actually heard this, Remso. There was someone who was getting ready to vote, and they were an independent voter, and it was a whole text they had sent to their friend. They're like, I thought about Kamala, but Kamala leads with fear, and that makes me uneasy, right? Like, the fact that she is promoting Trump is Hitler, that, you know, the Republicans are all Nazi fascists, or that they're going to take away all women's rights and women are going to be secondhand citizens, right? This narrative, I think it's starting to fade out a little bit. Like, and hey, maybe it will win this election cycle, right? Maybe this will work one more time. But Remso, I think the writing's on the wall that this, like, everyone is Hitler, everyone's a fascist, everyone is, you know, the worst thing ever, right? It's losing its luster, and your average folks are starting to call it out for what it is, and it's just a tactic. That's all it ends up being.
I have a good friend of mine. He's a client of mine too, and he runs a small business in Milwaukee. He is the quintessential Wisconsin Obama Trump voter. Comes from a Christian, union working, immigrant family that grew up in the Midwest, largely support Democrats, voted for Obama both times. In 2016, gave Trump a chance. In 2020, he voted for Biden, not because he hated Trump, but because he thought if he voted for Biden, then the madness that he was seeing on TV and throughout 2020 would end.
Things will go back to normal.
Fast forward 4 years later, his finances aren't any better. His business, it gets by. He employs a bunch of people, and every year it gets harder economically. And he sees what has gone on under Biden and sees what will come under Kamala Harris. And just by having very pleasant, you know, off the cuff conversations about what we see and how we're trying to make our lives better, you know, he went ahead and for the second time, after voting for Trump in 16, voting for Biden in 20, for the second time is voting for Trump now. Now, his wife is a Milwaukee public school teacher, part of the teachers union. Anyone that knows about Wisconsin Teachers Union knows how liberal that is. Historically, has always voted Democrat. Wanted to vote for Kamala, but she sees how her life is. And she sees that what the Democrats did was they staged a coup, a true insurrection against the sitting president and against the entire Democratic Party base. And that the things that she was told about Trump don't seem to hang up. They talk about it, but largely he's not going to want to argue with his wife. He just thinks she's always voted this way. It avoids an argument. He's going to vote for Trump, but he's not going to tell her what to do. They both go and vote early. Banked your vote, people. Hope you banked your vote. But show up.
I voted this morning.
He asks, she's like, okay, I just voted. And he's like, haha, who'd you vote for? And she's like, I voted for Trump.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's changing, man. It's changing. Yeah, all this has probably got your heart fluttering. If so, you got to check out our next sponsor, Cardio Miracle.
Hey, folks, I want to take a moment to talk about something that has truly changed my life, and that is Cardio Miracle, our incredible studio sponsor. Now, when I first heard about Cardio Miracle and their claims about improving heart health, but I was skeptical. Using it for just about 2 months, I was blown away by the results. First, my blood pressure went around 140 around 140 to a much more healthier and manageable 120 over 80. And my resting heart rate dropped from the low 70s to the high 50s. I couldn't believe it. But the benefits didn't stop there. I felt more energized at the gym, and my heart felt the best it's felt in years. Hundreds of you, our amazing listeners, have reached out to share your own incredible experiences with Cardio Miracle. What is Cardio Miracle?
And how does it work?
Crafted supplement
It's a carefully
that harnesses
crafted supplement that harnesses the power of nitric oxide to support optimal
So by
heart
increasing
function.
nitric oxide
So by
levels in your
increasing
blood,
nitric oxide
Cardio
levels in your
Miracle
blood,
helps relax your
Cardio
blood
Miracle
vessels,
helps
improve
relax your blood
circulation,
vessels,
and
improve
it protects your
circulation,
heart from
and
damage.
it protects
It's
your
like
heart
giving
from
your heart the
damage.
support
It's
it
like
needs
giving
to
your heart the
function at its
support it
best.
needs to function
And
at its
here's
best.
the best part.
And
We've
here's
got
the
an
best part.
exclusive
We've
offer
got an
just for
exclusive
you, our
offer
loyal
just for
listeners
you,
here at the
our
Brian
loyal
Nichols Show.
listeners here at the
When you
Brian
head over
Nichols
to
Show.
cardiomiracle.com
When you head over to
and use code
cardiomiracle.com and use code
TBNS at checkout,
TBNS at checkout, you'll get an extra
discount on your order.
15% discount
Plus,
on your
with
order.
their 100%
Plus,
money
with their
back
100%
guarantee, you've
money
got
back
nothing to
guarantee,
lose
you've got
and
nothing to
everything
lose
gain.
and
So,
everything to
if you're ready
gain.
to take
So,
control of
if
your
you're ready
heart
to
health
take
and
control of
experience
your
the
heart health and
life-changing
experience the
benefits of
life-changing
Cardio Miracle
benefits
for
of
yourself,
Cardio
just
Miracle
click
for
the link in the
yourself,
show
just
notes
click the
or
link
video
in the show
description.
notes or video
Trust me, your
description.
heart
Trust
will
me,
thank
your
you.
heart
And don't
will
wait
thank
another
you.
day
And don't wait
to
another
prioritize
day
your health.
to prioritize
Join
your
the
health.
tens of thousands
Join
of
the
folks
tens
who
of
have
thousands of
already
folks who have
discovered
already
the
discovered the
Cardio
Cardio
Miracle
Miracle
difference.
difference.
Head
Head
to
to
cardiomiracle.com
cardiomiracle.com now and
TBNS
use
for
code
15%
TBNS for
off your order.
15% off
Your
your
journey
order.
to a
Your
happier
journey
and
to a
healthier heart
happier and
starts
healthier
today.
heart
And
starts
now,
today.
let's get back to the
And
show.
now, let's get back to the show. Here you go, Remso. Elon Musk with the memes for the audio listener. You know that meme where the guy's got one foot in the very bottom of the stairs, and then he's got his foot like on the fifth stair. So it's Democrats, his shirt, and then he's jumping over arresting illegals, arresting rapists, arresting murderers, and he's landing his foot right there on killing a squirrel. That feels, Remso, pretty accurate. That's where we're at today. And by the way, this is the last week in review until the elections. So, Remso, it is time. It is time to pick your vote. I guess not your vote. Who's going to win? That's the question everybody's coming here to ask is who's going to win? Who should we be going and putting our bets on in these betting markets? Remso, you have been a vocal Trump supporter. We've been on the show doing this now for 5-6 months or so for a week in review, and you've been very, very adamant that Trump's your guy. But tell me, do you feel that he's more than just your guy? He's going to be America's guy.
I have to, but I have to say I don't know, and that is ultimately what every listener today has to decide if they have not casted their vote yet.
By the way, I have a story to tell when you're done.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what I think, Brian. What matters is what people do. And I've only ever said why I voted. And, ultimately, I think I said a couple weeks ago, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I voted for myself. And this is a vote in self-defense. This is a vote that hopefully we can turn off the spigot of stupid and we can actually try and make things a little bit better for ourselves. So regardless of whether I want him to win or not, people, get out, vote. If you show up, especially in Pennsylvania, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, if Trump supporting voters show up, we cannot lose. But that's for them to show up and do. Got to show up.
So, I voted this morning. I did. I banked my vote. We are recording live here on X, right? For folks joining along in the home game, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. I have since 2015, I have been one of the leading liberty voices against Donald Trump. I was incredibly concerned back in 2015. I said, I believe Donald Trump is going to change what it means to be a conservative. And I was right. But I didn't realize how wrong I was in the outcome that would come from, because all the neocons that used to be conservative, they showed their true colors. Bill Kristol, John Bolton, Nikki Haley, Liz Cheney. They all jumped ship, right? They all, well, except for Nikki Haley. She's still pretending. But everybody else, they jumped either to pretending they're independent or they jumped to the left. Okay. So Trump did ultimately change what it meant to be conservative. And my concerns, my fears were realized. But again, not in the way that I thought. In 2019, well, not 2019, 2020, COVID happens, right? And I was one of the leading libertarian voices against Trump's administration for enabling Anthony Fauci, Deborah Birx, the CDC, the EPA, the FDA, for going through and putting in place all of these bullshit recommendations that made half of America immediately suspect for breaking some public health codes and violations, like enabling them to put this in place and not standing up fervently to fight back. And I was very, very pissed off with Trump. And as a matter of fact, I looked at what happened there and I said, how could we have avoided this? Oh, by him putting the right people in place. Well, we fast forward to today. And over the past 2-3 months, something has been happening with Trump and the Trump campaign that I never thought would happen. And we started the conversation today talking about one of those things. And that is Trump surrounding himself with the right people, with good people. He's not surrounding himself with people like Mike Pence. He's surrounding himself with people like Vivek Ramaswamy or Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Ron Paul. Ron Paul, the guy from 2008 and 2012 who started a revolution, and we've been looking for someone, anyone, to carry that banner forward. Now, I say all this not to say that Trump is some, libertarian icon, not to say that Trump is some conservative icon, but rather Trump is a vessel, just like the GOP, right? I've had this conversation, debate many a time on the show. Political parties are nothing more than vessels to get your ideas into action via public policy, but also to reach audiences that would traditionally never hear your message. And I look at what Trump has been doing in bringing all of these people who remove the name Trump from the equation. For the most part, people in the greater liberty world, we can look at and say, yeah, even if I don't like 100% of this person's values or policies or what have you, their principles, I still could have a conversation with them because I think they get it. And I've been very vocal here in the show. I am not supporting Chase Oliver. I was very much thinking about voting for RFK, but Remso, I went into that voting booth today. And you know what I did? I voted for Trump. I did it. I voted for Donald Trump. And it felt weird to vote for Donald Trump because he stands, or at least stood for, a lot of things I used to think I hated until I realized that Donald Trump himself is not the policy. He is not the principle. He is not the ism. Donald Trump is the platform by which we can express our ideas to a larger audience. And the most important piece, actually get ideas into action, policy. And this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation today. Ron Paul and Elon Musk working together as potential cabinet buddies to help rein in government spending and government waste. That's a no-brainer. Oh, add Trump to the equation. All of a sudden, they're evil. We should never talk about them. No, I'm sorry. That is insanity. That is cult behavior. That is groupthink. That is echo chamber conversations just echoing back and forth to become gobbledygook noise. If you're in one of those Facebook groups or Facebook chats and you're just screeching from high heavens how dangerous this is, keep screeching. And you're just going to be screeching to the little group that you found yourself in. But what I'm excited for, Remso, is to look at someone like, again, I can't believe I'm saying this, Donald Trump, who is bringing all of these folks to the table and actually presenting a very pro-liberty vision, very much in contrast to what the other side has. It's a no-brainer. So I voted for Trump. It happened. Still can't believe I'm saying it out loud. I know there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to be screaming at their collective earphones or YouTube screens or what have you, X screens. But to the folks who hear my rationale and my context, I hope you get it. And for the folks who I know are more or less listeners of this show, y'all do get it. But to the folks who inevitably will take this, clip this, and say, see, Brian's just another Republican hiding in libertarian circles. Go for it. Go for it. I really don't care. I don't care anymore. Because I spent too long trying to help teach libertarians, how to sell liberty, right? And when I saw the just outright rejection of tried and true sales and marketing tactics that you use, Remso, I use in the real world, right? Not just in the world of politics, in business. And we know work because they're tried and true tactics. And then when we're trying to teach folks in this movement how to do it themselves, I get feedback of, well, no, this isn't true to libertarianism. You're watering down the message. You're not doing blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Fine. Go be losers. I'm not going to try to convince you to not suck anymore, right? Go hang out in your little groups. Go hang out in your little county affiliate get-togethers. Fine. That's fine. I'm done. So with that, I think we go into Tuesday, Remso. I'm gonna call it right now. I think that there's a chance, a very strong chance, to your point, like I gotta believe it too, that Trump will win. Now we saw what happened in 2020. I don't want to get my show nuked, so I'm not gonna say what happened, but something happened, right? And we all can raise some eyebrows to it. You know, the going up and then boop, up, over. Yep, that little boop. Right? That's normal. That happens all the time. No, it doesn't. So I say that to say never underestimate how far the deep state will go. They are deep, very deep. But if things go cleanly, again, I'm trying to be very delicate with my phrasing here. If things go cleanly, Trump should be the president as of Wednesday morning. Well, he will be the president come January, but he will be the president-elect come Wednesday morning. To your point, it requires us to get out of our little echo chambers and go vote, right? So to everybody listening to today, if you have ever found yourself, whether it's the Make America Healthy camp, the small L libertarian camp, heck, the big L libertarian camp. If you found yourself as a moderate, as a centrist, as a political independent, and you just don't know where to vote, don't worry. I get it. I've been there. I'm voting for Trump. I voted for Trump. And I do that very proudly and confidently, especially when you compare and contrast that to what the other options are. Not from I would vote for Harris, but what would happen from an outcomes perspective. And I'll just, I'll say I'll finish with this. I'll finish with this, Remso. Back in
I'm loving everything.
I know. I'm sorry. I get going. Back when I was in political science, and I used to love this shit, right? It was called strategic voting theory. There's two pieces to strategic voting theory. The first piece is the feels, right? How do you feel in the vote that you are casting for a candidate? That's one piece. But the as important and equal other side of the equation is the actual outcomes from the candidate who wins, right? So sure, feel great. You're voting for Chase Oliver. What happens when Kamala Harris wins from a net yield of positive outcomes relative to your feeling good for casting Chase? You're probably going to end up at like a +2, right? But maybe you feel a little icky about voting for Trump. Maybe you thought, the whole January 6th thing was the end of the world. Maybe that really rubbed you the wrong way. Maybe his bravado, whatever it may be, rubbed you the wrong way. And you don't feel good voting for someone like that. That's fine. Maybe that's a 3 or a 4 on your feel-good scale. But what if the outcomes are like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, right? Versus a Harris, who maybe you feel a little bit better because she's not saying all the terrible things. She's just telling you that she's from a middle-class family and she understands the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the American public. Look, I'm Kamala Harris. But maybe you get like a 3 or 4 voting for her, but you get like a 1 in policy, right? The answer is clear. So if you need the math, if you need logic and reason to help rationalize your vote, here you go. Look up strategic voting theory. It will help you make that calculated decision. Heck, maybe you find yourself voting for Kamala. That's okay. If that's where you end up, that's where you end up. But I can almost guarantee, Remso, based on my understanding of my audience, probably 80% of y'all, you're gonna say, all right, well, I guess that's it. I'm casting my vote for the big DJT. That's my final thoughts for today, Remso. What do you have for us?
Do it for Peanut.
Yeah, just do it for fucking Peanut, man. Let's go ahead and wrap things there. Remso, I thoroughly enjoy these conversations. By the way, folks, we're late today. I apologize. I said earlier, we had to make sure we gave us enough time to get all the good stuff out today, which we did. So if you got some value from today's conversation, please do us a favor. First and foremost, turn on your notifications on X for yours truly, because when I do go live. It could be Saturday morning, 9 a.m. It could be Saturday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll see. It usually is going to be in the morning between 9 and 11 Eastern, but just in case you have another day like we did today where we're a little bit late, you'll always go ahead and make sure you catch us live. Or if maybe you're more of a, hey, I'll listen to it when I can, go ahead, hit that subscribe button to your favorite podcast catcher, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever it is you consume your podcast. Just make sure you subscribe to the Brian Nichols Show. And by the way, we have almost 1,000 episodes here of the show, going all the way back to 2018. So if you're like, this guy is just a Republican plant, okay, sure. Go listen to almost 1,000 episodes of my show and tell me I'm a Republican plant while I'm going head to head with like a Republican strategist. I would love for you to fucking say that. So please go ahead, check out the past episodes. And of course, your favorite video platforms, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Yeah, we're still on Facebook. And also, of course, over on Twitter, x.com. Find yours truly at B Nichols Liberty. Find Remso at Hey Remso on X. Go Remso on Instagram. Remso, any final thoughts? You can go ahead and put a pin in today's conversation.
Don't look at the polls. Don't look at the betting markets. Just go vote.
And do it for Peanut.
Do it for Peanut.
On that note, Brian Nichols signing off here for our AMP America Week in Review with the great Remso Martinez. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.